I find it in this crazy old world. I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I've got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
We need strategies, especially strategies for living. So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
That's a good question.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have a few good questions today.
I hope so. It's always important to have questions.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome in. I'm Dr. David McMillian. She is PLPC, psychotherapist Lauren Leon McMillian. And this is Strategies for Living. We're glad you're with us. You know, sometimes we need to make ourselves a bit uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I know that I know that goes counter to our typical culture.
Yes,
right?
to our modern culture.
To our modern culture, because we want to be comfortable.
But life is not made to be comfortable. That's not the point of living.
No.
I truly believe that.
I also believe that. I believe life is for learning, and we are here. This planet, this place called Earth, is one great, fabulous, fantastic school, and we're here to learn. So, but to learn sometimes, you know, you have to be willing to confront yourself with some questions.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about 10 of them today.
Okay.
10 uncomfortable questions, but here's the deal. These uncomfortable questions could change your life.
I like those.
Yeah. And
those are some good questions.
Yeah, they are. And they're valuable questions, but the question is, are we ready? Are we ready to confront those things in our lives that, you know, we probably need to confront?
Ready or not?
Ready or not? That's a question outside of the question. So I guess we're given 11 questions.
There you go.
You got a bonus right there.
I'm sure we'll have more in between, because the questions always lead to more questions.
Questions beget questions,
That's right.
don't they?
Yeah.
All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies for Living, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, Learning RX, We Train Your Brain, the Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitas Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, and some pretty good muffies too, SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. Uncomfortable questions, 10 of them. But these questions could change your life. That's today, right here on Strategies for Living.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio rehab every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when skies seem trapped. Mind and body, spirits free. Living life in harmony.
And welcome into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. And some questions for all of us. Now, the questions may make us a bit uncomfortable, but
That's the point of good questions.
It really is.
To send us upon a quest, right?
I like that.
A quest in questions.
Yeah. You know, back when years ago, I was teaching adjunct at Louisiana Tech, and I was teaching in the counseling program. Generally, it would be internship or one of those practicum. One of the courses is the very end of the person's graduate degree, and so we talked a lot about practical,
right?
Real
stuff, hands-on,
real hands-on. What you're going to be doing and what you're going to be facing.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and I would sometimes get some pushback on this, but it always led to an interesting discussion. And I would say it this way: if you're not peeving off a certain number of your clients, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not doing therapy. And if you're peeving off all of your clients, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not doing therapy.
Right. And
if you're not peeving off any of your clients, you're certainly not doing therapy. So, like I said, I got some pushback on that.
But I mean, it makes sense, and it goes hand in hand with another idea, which is like there's the learning space. We don't talk enough about what the learning space is, right?
All right, so define what you mean by the learning space.
Okay, well, this is not mine. I think this is Dr. Becky. I forget her last name, but anyway, she's from All Good Inside, I think is her.
Okay.
What she does. And she talks about helping kids. And her idea is that there's this space between knowing and not knowing.
Okay.
Right? And it's very uncertain and it's very uncomfortable. And but between not knowing and knowing, that's the learning space. And if we can expand the amount of time that we're able to sit in that uncomfortable learning space, the space between not knowing and knowing, then we can all be much better people, right? And what you're working on there is your ability to handle uncertainty and to sit with struggle, to deal with that struggle. I had a chemistry professor in college. I think you know the story that, if we went to ask him a question, he wouldn't answer it right away.
Yeah.
He was proud. He would tell us up front, you need to struggle a little bit with the problem before I step in. But it was a great teaching method because it's true. It's important that we be able to do that work, that struggle, because that's where we get the most self-confidence in order to handle the next time we approach a problem.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And in our modern, we mentioned this in the intro, in our modern culture, it's almost like a mortal sin to make ourselves uncomfortable or to put ourselves into a situation that is uncomfortable.
This is interesting because, I journal every morning. I speak with my higher self or whoever you want to say it. And this is something that we've touched on recently. And it's the idea that we're not put here to be comfortable, right?
Yep.
That comfort really means with great safety, right? And so the only place that you really should truly be comfortable is where you truly are, which is at home.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call that, in heaven with spirit as all one, right?
Right.
And the point of being here in form and seeing ourselves as separate is to have experiences to stretch and grow, which is inherently uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right? For us to appreciate that, okay, we're comfortable
so you're kind of saying you're kind of saying that if we're doing life right, it's kind of the same things that I used to challenge the counseling students with.
Yeah.
If you're not uncomfortable some of the time,
then you're not living.
Then you're not truly living
and
life.
Growing.
Yeah. You're existing.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to be able to have pleasure and to take in all of life.
Oh, absolutely.
But in order to take in all of life, that's the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
It's not just the end where we're joyous and in pleasure, but it's also the suffering and the pain and the sadness. It's everything.
If you
all
stay
of
up
it.
on top of the mountain all the time,
Yeah.
you never experience the valley. And sometimes there's beautiful stuff
Oh
down
my
in the
gosh,
valley.
there's incredibly
right?
stuff in the valley, and being in the valley makes you to appreciate the mountaintop even more.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right. So, question 1 here, because we're going to try to get through 10 of them, and who knows, we may even have some bonus ones. I think some bonus ones have already shown up.
I'm sure that they'll show up in between.
If the next year looked exactly like the last 2 weeks, would you be proud?
Yeah,
It's a great question.
it is. I think this question bypasses intentions and it goes straight to your habits and patterns, right? Straight to the reality. And I think most people underestimate what the little things, what the small daily habits add up to,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Including just the ongoing conversation that we all have with ourselves in our head. And is that mostly negative or is it mostly positive?
Right. And and that contributes to your inner experience. What is your inner experience? How has it been over the past 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And is it in alignment? We talked a little bit about this recently. We talk about it a lot, right? Being in alignment with your values, what you truly value and what you want to see and produce and create in the world. And starting with producing and creating that within yourself and your world.
So in the
Right.
past couple of weeks, how's that been? Has that aligned? Is it lining up? If it's not, you don't have to choose to feel horrible about yourself.
No.
But you can choose to say, okay, I need to make some alterations.
What small changes can I make to be more in alignment with what I want to see and do in the world?
Right.
Right. And this isn't just about your doing. I think a lot of us in this culture can get caught up in the question, if the next year looked like the last 2 weeks, would I be proud?
Yeah.
Right. I don't want us to look back and say, well, I produced all of this, or I didn't produce all of this.
Doing is a part of it.
It's a part of it.
It's a part of it, but it's not the whole.
Right. And I would ask you to look at it more in terms of energy use.
Yeah.
How did you use your energy? And how compassionate were you with yourself and others? How gentle, how loving?
Well, we started with the discussion of not what we do here, but we started with the discussion of how you talk to yourself and what you think.
Right.
And, really, everything is created twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's first created in our minds,
Right.
and then it's manifest in our actions. And that's something for us to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that points to a great place to start, right? If it didn't look the way you would want it to continue to look, start within. Start with the way you talk to yourself.
So you've always got a follow-up question, right? And this next question, I think, is very much a follow-up question to the first. And that's, what's the cost of staying exactly where you are right now? What's the cost?
Yeah. I think we often think more about, or we don't think so much, but we feel that risk of change. But we don't contemplate enough, what's the risk of staying where I am?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, change is one of the hardest things that I think we as humans have to manage and navigate through.
Yeah.
And yet, that's what really life is all about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether we're talking individually or collectively, we need to take a step back, maybe often, and look at, well, where are we? Where am I? And is this lined up with who I really want to be, my values, or is something else going on?
And I think I see with a lot of my clients, right? This is where people get stuck, right? It's that idea of, give me the devil I know. I'd rather stick with this familiar pain than the unfamiliar uncertain growth, right? And so this question nails it. What's the cost? What is the cost of staying right here where you are? Where would you see yourself in a week, a month, a couple years if you continue to stay? And, it brings the idea that what you're not consciously changing, you are choosing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for all of
Say
us to
that
keep
again.
in front of us.
What you're not changing, you are choosing.
Yeah, we're always choosing. And what you're not
You cannot
consciously...
not choose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can't say, well, I'm a victim of circumstance. No, you're choosing to remain where you are.
You are just not allowing yourself to be conscious of that choice.
Right. And once you're conscious, you have that ability to choose again, choose differently.
You have that ability, Lauren, and I would even go further and say you have an obligation. Once you see it, then
when you know better, you do better, hopefully.
Yeah. We're talking today about we're throwing out some questions, some very important questions, uncomfortable ones that actually could change the rest of our lives. And we're talking about them today here on Strategies for Living. If the next year looked exactly like the last 2 weeks, would you be proud? What's the cost of staying exactly where you are right now? And you know what? We got a lot more questions. And so
Always more questions.
come back with us. More to come here on Strategies for Living.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
If you're looking for strategies for living, well, you found them. And welcome back. Welcome back to Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian and David McMillian talking today about uncomfortable questions that we can ask ourselves to, and if we do, even though they're uncomfortable, these questions have power. They are very powerful. They can change your life. And so we started with, if the next year looked exactly like the last 2 weeks, would you be proud? And we talked about what's the cost? What's the cost of staying exactly where you are right now? All right, this is kind of a follow-up to that. I guess they're all building on one another. Is your daily routine getting you closer to your dreams or keeping you stuck?
Yeah. It's another follow-up, right? I mean, it's the idea that your dreams are built or blocked or hindered, right, by your everyday habits.
Now, if you're shouting at your radio, I'm not stuck. And that's our natural tendency.
Sure.
I mean, it's my natural tendency to say, well, maybe everybody else is stuck, but I'm not stuck. Well, I really need to look at that because what and the first two questions kind of invite me to do that. What habits have I gotten in? And sometimes, we get into habits that work for us for a season.
Yeah, it's important to reevaluate them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to remember that your routine creates who you are in the world. I mean, it's the idea that, your routine, what people don't see, builds what people do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People might not see that you work out every day or that you eat well, but it shows up in the way that you present yourself and your energy and your physique and the way you're able to handle yourself.
Right.
And it's the same way with habits, right?
And it's kind of neat to hear people say, you've lost weight, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, sometimes you have to be a bit careful with this one because, again, I've mentioned I've had some health challenges here lately. So my energy level, because of medicine and just what's going on with me, is not the norm for me.
Right.
And so, I'm spending a lot more time than I have in the past, kind of in my recliner and kind of, even though I've always loved naps, I find myself taking more of them now and not passing up the opportunity. Well, I don't expect that's going to last forever.
Right.
And
But it's important for your routine now.
It is, and it will also be important that when when the doctor says, okay, well, you don't have to take all this medicine that's keeping you, kind of low energy.
Right.
All right. Well, how am I going to stay in the habit of a lot of chair time?
Right.
I hope I'll say no.
Oh, don't worry. Attila the nun will help with that.
Yeah,
I'll get you out.
I thought so. I thought so.
But I want to speak one more thing to this, because if you're wanting to get started, with a small thing in your daily routine to help you move towards your dreams, one place that I would highly suggest, is first thing in the morning. What's your morning routine? Right? How do you want? It
sets the day.
How do you want to start your day? How do you want to set the tone? And another thing is, if you've got a particular goal or dream in mind, say you want to start a particular business, or maybe work more on your creative pursuits, right?
Right.
Pick a time frame and slot it out in the day. It could just be 15 minutes and you could build to 30, or you could start with an hour. But just build that into your day and commit for some time.
There you go.
When I was in college, I didn't follow through, but it was a great idea in theory. I came up with the idea of the love hour, because I was so bogged down in studying. I wanted to create an hour a day. It actually ended up to be an hour a week, which was fine, dedicated just to do something that I just loved and enjoyed and wanted to do.
I
Whether
like
that was,
the love hour.
Right, the love hour. So create for yourself a love hour or something similar to start you towards, okay, I know that each of my days, each of my weeks is building towards something that I enjoy and want to create in the world.
Yeah, and we need to, again, there's the word is balance. We need balance in our lives.
Yeah.
And life is hard. Life is difficult. And it is for every one of us.
Yep.
And I guess one of the points of confronting these questions, am I allowing my life to truly be a teaching opportunity for me? Because if it's not difficult to a degree, then I'm messing up. And the opposite of that, if I'm not also experiencing some joy, then I may be messing up too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Another question is, what are you avoiding now because the fear of failure feels too scary? This one is a great question.
Yeah, it is. And this can show up subtly too, right? Like it shows up as procrastination or perfectionism. Or,
it doesn't always, it's a natural tendency, especially for men, to say, I'm not scared.
Right.
I'm not scared. Well, it doesn't always.
It's just not ready.
It doesn't show up always. Fear does not always present as what we think fear is. And you're making a great point that, sure, I procrastinate. Well, am I willing to confront that within myself as, well, maybe I need to ask myself, and here's another question, what am I afraid of?
Yeah. What am I afraid of? And is it about failure, right? And if so, how can you reframe that as feedback?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, some people would say there's no such thing as failure.
Yeah, and I would agree.
And you're either you're attempting, which moves you toward, or you're standing still,
right?
Or you're going backwards.
I think the other point there with failure is, I think if you're afraid of failure, that also might point to your sort of similar to what we were talking about yesterday, taking things personally.
Yeah.
Right? That if I do something that doesn't turn out the way I expect, then I am suddenly a insert negative word person, right? I'm a bad person, a poor person, a failed person.
Yeah.
You know, I take it as part of my identity. So if that's the issue, work on recognizing that your behavior is not who you are and what you produce is not who you are.
No, we're all works in progress.
Absolutely. That's the other point, right?
Yeah.
And we're all creating alongside each other. We wouldn't be here.
And
it's got to be messy. We have to remember that.
Creation is.
It's
creation
incredibly
is.
messy.
It can be incredibly
Have you ever
messy.
walked in, and I know you have with me, but have you ever walked in on a person in the midst of a creative project?
Sometimes it's not pretty.
Usually it's not, right?
Yeah.
I've got, yarn all over the place or paint or whatever. But that's part of the process. You've got to pull out everything to see and to make something, and then you can tidy it up after.
Yeah.
But I think we forget that when there's not a physical mess as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes there's psychological messes and emotional messes and thought-provoking messes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're messy.
Yeah.
Creativity is messy.
So what are you avoiding now because the fear of failure feels too scary?
And then I'd add on to that, what would happen if I failed?
Yeah.
Go there.
Yeah.
What if?
Another bonus question.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then what happens if I never try?
Yeah. This one kind of is, if people are listening to us right now who are regular listeners to the show, this next question, is kind of the way I end every show. But the question is this: if your time was limited to 6 months, what would instantly become unimportant? I end every show. If today were the last day of your life, and you only had one more phone call, who would you call? What would you say? Why are you waiting? Because we don't know.
We don't.
We take for granted, and our ego feeds us some BS. You're going to live for. You don't need to worry about that. You're going to.
There'll always be tomorrow.
There's always.
We'll have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, but then you put on Garth Brooks and that great song, "If Tomorrow Never Comes."
Yeah.
And we all need to play that in the soundtrack of our lives sometimes to remind us.
Yeah.
Okay. And
we're not even guaranteeing the next moment.
No, we're not. We're not.
Not just days, but moments.
Yeah. So, I like the way this question is worded. If your time was limited to 6 months, what would instantly become unimportant? Because you can then figure out, what do I need to drop away?
Yeah.
What do I need to let, like in the fall, the leaves need to fall off the trees so that by springtime and the time of year we're in now, we've got the world greening again.
Yeah. With things that we want to flourish in the world, right? And I think some of the things that instantly or usually will fall away are things like comparison or small conflicts that you have with each other or within yourself, right? Overthinking, right? It reminds me, there's a Dr. Zach Bush. He was he worked in hospice, and he always tells the story about how it surprised him how often people would actually graduate from hospice. Yeah. Because in that time period, they were able to realize, oh my gosh, I wasn't living and I need to live.
And then they start living and they're they get their life back.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
They can, and that doesn't happen
No.
with everybody. There's no guarantee there. But
do it before you get there.
Yeah. If you can live like you may die tomorrow, and we all might.
That's another song.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Live like you were dying.
There you go.
That's
like
Tim
it.
McGraw, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're putting forth some very difficult questions today, but here's the deal: they're questions that can change your life. We've got more of them right here on Strategies for Living.
We all have have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies, strategies, strategies for living radio.
And welcome back in. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. And we're talking today about some tough questions, some very difficult questions that we can be challenged to ask ourselves. But these questions, difficult as they are, can change our lives. Now, I always tend to, when we do programs like this, list and questions and things like this, I just have the habit of kind of picking one out and putting an asterisk by it or a double asterisk.
Have we arrived at the asterisk question?
We have arrived at the quadruple asterisk question.
All right.
Yeah. And here it is. Here it is. Who would you be if you weren't afraid of others' opinions? Let me say that again. Let me ask that again. Who would you be if you weren't afraid of others' opinions?
Yeah.
It's a powerful question.
It is, and it's a truly important question. It's the question of a lifetime, right? I mean, it's Carl Jung who says the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, right? I mean, because if we truly are incredibly powerful, unique fractals of all that is, and that no single one of us is alike, and we're here to sing in harmony, not in unison, but in harmony, right? Complementing each other. Then we're each going to have these different quirks and ways and perspectives of life and of living. And it's vitally important that we bring that out in ourselves and share that with others in the world. I believe that's part of, if not the reason that we're here.
I couldn't agree with you more. I cannot argue with you at all.
Well, I wasn't asking you to argue.
Oh, good.
But, this comes with some follow-up questions, though, to get started, right? Okay, so what parts of me have I muted? Which parts of me have I exiled? And at what points in my life did they become muted, and for what reasons?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And how can I provide a safe enough space for those parts to reemerge again?
Yeah, because we all have multiple parts, and some of those parts are in exile.
Yep.
And some of those parts of ours help keep. They're there to help keep the exiled part exiled.
Right. Yeah.
And we're talking about something that's called
internal family systems.
Internal family systems, and there's a lot of books out there on it, and it's a very, very interesting way to look at our lives. And so, we probably need to do some more programs on that. Here's another question. What's one thing you've been avoiding that, if done, could completely change your trajectory? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so interesting how often life can pivot on one avoided action, right? I mean, is there a conversation that you've been avoiding having, an important one that could change your life and your relationships with others? Is there a small decision that you could make, or a large one that you've been putting off?
Yeah.
Out of avoidance or fear.
And oftentimes large decisions are actually not as hard as we make them out to be, because they tend to be a series of small decisions that are leading toward. Yeah. And sometimes we don't know what they're leading towards. But we know, okay, I really need to make this adjustment for me, for my growth, or for my comfort, or for my well-being. And when I make this, it's going to make some other people around me perhaps uncomfortable.
Right.
And we're going to have to renegotiate some things.
Yeah, but I think in the long run, hopefully, that's to better all of us involved.
Right.
Right.
If you stripped away every excuse, what would you be capable of achieving right now? If you stripped away every excuse, and Jimmy Durante used to say, I got a million of them. And we do. We have a million excuses. If you stripped away every excuse, what would you be? I'm showing my age now. What would you be capable of achieving right now? Because you're over there, you'd have no idea who Jimmy Durante is.
I've heard you talk about him several times, and several of his
a big nose. Had a big nose. Comedian.
Yeah.
Great guy.
We have met. No.
No,
that was
Pogo.
Pogo. Yeah, I'm mixing them up now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so some common excuses that we all run into, right? Time. I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Or there's not enough time. Well, that's not really accurate.
Time is all there is.
Right.
Time is what we're immersed in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another excuse is money.
Yeah.
Right. And there is some limit there, but I believe we're all very creative enough to not run into that.
Yeah. There's a story of a famous guru. I forget who it was, but was with his board of directors and was putting forth all of his plans for the next years in the future. And his board politely listened and asked him, Guru, this sounds great, but it's going to be very expensive. Where's the money going to come from? And he looked at him and he said, it's going to come from wherever it is now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's that was Mother Cabrini too, right? She said, if we build it and the money will come.
Yeah.
Right. If we start, the money will come.
The money will come.
And I believe there's some truth to that. Right?
Yeah.
And another common excuse is readiness. And readiness is always a myth. You just got to jump in.
Yeah. Are we ever ready? Probably we're always ready, but we don't let ourselves admit that. Here's another question. What parts of your current life would your future self wish you'd let go of sooner? What parts of your current life would your future self wish you'd let go of sooner? Great question.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier as you get a little experience under your belt and you're able to look back as well so that you can have that perspective. But I think we could all do this at any point. And it could be even short term, right? Sometimes I wash the dishes not because I really want to, but because I know future me will appreciate it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, this is another asterisk question. Last one. What life would you need to live to die without regrets? What life would you need to live to die without regrets? How many asterisks did I give the last one?
4.
Okay, this one gets 5.
Yeah, this is the North Star sort of question. This is the compass question.
This is the one that we need to keep in front of us because it's this question can really, I like the way you're saying it, the compass question, the North Star question, because it can lead us. In spite of what our ego tells us, we're all going to face that day where life is no more for us in this current existence, in this form. Tough questions today, difficult questions, but questions that can change our lives. That's today here on Strategies for Living. Welcome back in. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. One of my favorite times each day because I get to play. I love this piece of bumper music. Yeah.
You like my guitar?
I like your guitar playing.
And strumming?
Yep. So we've been turning over difficult questions today, but questions that if we're willing to ask ourselves have the power to change our lives. If you missed any of these questions, don't forget that you can go back and hear Strategies for Living just simply by going to wherever you get your podcast.
Yep.
And subscribing, searching Strategies for Living and subscribe to us. And you don't ever have to miss a show because, on radio, you hear bits and pieces, and you might say, I want to hear more about that. Well, you can.
Absolutely.
Just do the podcast thing. All right. So what's your takeaway today?
Well, I think the questions, of course, aren't meant to judge you, but to kind of shake you and wake you up. A running theme that I heard was presence.
Yep.
Being able to live in the moment and in alignment with your values and who you want to be in the world.
Yeah.
And then also that life isn't built someday in the future.
No,
right?
life is built
It's
right now.
Right now, and the choices that you make today. And
Yep.
I think that's kind of...
Choices that you make, the things you think, and even the way you
feel.
Talk to yourself and the way
And
you feel.
especially the way you talk to yourself.
It's all important.
Yeah.
And so don't treat it like it's not. You're important.
Incredibly, you're vital.
Folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies for Living, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, Learning RX, we train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, and pretty good Muffies, too. SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who is it that you'd call? What is it that you'd say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillian, I'm David McMillian. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.